Imagine being at war for over 3 centuries and no one getting hurt. No battles, no bombs, no bloodshed. It sounds ridiculous, but that's exactly what happened between the Netherlands and a tiny cluster of British islands. This is the bizarre and mostly forgotten tale of the so-called 335 Years' War, a conflict so overlooked. It accidentally lasted from 1651 all the way to 1986. To understand how this happened, we have to go back to the mid-17th century, during the chaos of the English Civil War. On one side, the Royalists, loyal to King Charles I, and on the other, the Parliamentarians, led by Oliver Cromwell. As the Royalists lost ground, they were pushed farther and farther west until finally, their last stronghold was Cornwall, the very tip of southwestern England. By 1648, Cromwell's forces had taken mainland Cornwall, and the remaining Royalist navy had no choice but to retreat not to another country, but to the nearby Isles of Scilly, a small, remote group of islands just off the Cornish coast. The islands were then under the control of Royalist nobleman John Granville. Meanwhile, the Dutch Republic, the day's Netherlands, had just ended its own brutal fight for independence from Spain. Having been allies with England under Queen Elizabeth I, the Dutch now threw their support behind Cromwell and the Parliamentarians, betting on the side they believed would win. But there was a problem. Dutch merchant ships were being attacked by the Royalist fleet hiding in the Isles of Scilly. Dutch trade was suffering, and patience was running thin. So in March 1651, the Dutch sent one of their most respected naval leaders, Admiral Martin Tromp, to demand compensation. He arrived in the Scilly Isles and asked the Royalists to repay the damages caused by their piracy. The answer, a firm no. With that, Tromp declared war on behalf of the Netherlands, but not on the entire country of England, just on the Isles of Scilly. It was an oddly specific and almost pointless declaration, because only weeks later, the Parliamentarian Navy, under Admiral Robert Blake, stormed the islands and forced the Royalist fleet to surrender. The Dutch threat was neutralized without a single shot being fired, and the Dutch fleet simply sailed away. The job was done. But here's where things get weird. Even though the war was over, no one actually bothered to sign a peace treaty. When England and the Netherlands signed the Treaty of Westminster in 1654, the war against Scilly was never even mentioned, likely because everyone had forgotten it happened. So, at least on paper, the Netherlands and the Isles of Scilly remained technically at war for 335 years. Over the centuries, this curious oversight faded into local legend. People occasionally joked about it, but no one took it seriously. That is, until 1986. Roy Duncan, a local historian and the chairman of the Isles of Scilly Council, stumbled upon the story and thought, wait a second, are we actually still at war? He wrote to the Dutch embassy in London. To his surprise, the Dutch staff dug through their records and confirmed no peace treaty had ever been signed. So, they decided to end it properly this time. On April 17, 1986, Dutch Ambassador Jonkheer Rein Heidekoper visited the Isles of Scilly to officially sign a peace treaty. After 335 years, the war was over, assuming it had ever truly existed. The ambassador even joked that it must have been terrifying for the Scillonians to know we could have attacked at any moment. So, was this war real? Technically, maybe. Legally, debatable. But one thing is certain, the 335 Years' War stands as one of the strangest, most pointless, and most peaceful wars in history, a product of forgotten paperwork, diplomatic formality, and just a little bit of absurdity.